Howard Cox, founder of FairFuel UK. It's been a while, my friend. Welcome to Talk Drive. How are you?
Hello, Jess. I'm fine, my friend. How are you?
I'm all right, but I'm confused. Bear in mind, I'm 60 this year. Thank you for saying I don't look it. Tell me to get lost. Why did you leave Reform? We haven't spoken. What's that all about? You stood for mayor. What's happened?
Well, hang on a second. I'm 70, mate. So I'm 10 years on you.
But you look it. I don't. Crack on. Come on.
Thank you for that, my good friend. Good job. I know you will. Anyway, yeah, it's very, very simple. I mean, I still support Reform UK on 99% of their policies, but I just don't like the way they actually positioned their argument against Tommy Robinson. I don't support Tommy Robinson. I don't, back him. I don't even know him. I never have met him. But I don't like the fact that certain parts of Reform caused a lot of Reform UK people who supported Tommy Robinson that lot, or nut jobs and things like that. And I was actually basically got a text from a very senior person in headquarters of Reform about 3 or 4 days before I left saying, if you continue to go down the route of supporting Tommy Robinson, you will be expelled.
Wow.
So it's very simple. The choice was made for me. My sell-by date was over.
Are you upset about that?
Yeah, I'm upset the way I've been treated, but I'm still fighting very much for Reform UK, in terms of their policies.
Let me ask you then very quickly, if you don't mind. Today in the Daily Telegraph, Suella Braverman, who of course famously tried to stop the boats, was brought back as Home Secretary because she was promised by dodgy Rishi Sunak that she could do that. Then he pulled the carpet from underneath her feet. We know her very well. Suella Braverman said that the only way for Labour to be broken is for the right to unite the Tories and Reform. You still support Reform. What are your thoughts on that as an analogy, Howard?
Well, I think it's right because the right is so disparate. There's so many different groups. And the big two are obviously Reform and the Tories. But I'm afraid there's too many egos and too many a lot of pride in between parties like the Tories, the oldest party in the world, etc., joining up with the newest party in the world. I'm afraid, I can't see that happening. I hope Nigel does sit down with Kemi Badenoch and say, yeah, let's do this together. I can't see that happening.
I'm not sure that Reform need the Tory party, do they?
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. I'm a die-hard Tory. I'm a Thatcherite. I go back that far.
Me.
Exactly. And if we see Thatcherite policies appearing from Kemi and etc., I think they will get some support back. I do know that a lot of people in Reform UK are not totally happy with the way the party is actually treating its members. So that's the reason. And, I've had massive...
I think there's many in the party who are unhappy at us, the party, taking on what can only be described as failed Tory MPs. It shouldn't be a home for people who have said one thing and want to save their political careers.
I couldn't agree more with you. I totally, they don't need it. There's a lot of good people in Reform UK, but I am concerned about some of the things they go. But that'll stay private between you and me.
All right, mate, let's move on. Founder of FairFuel UK, somebody who has argued for motorists' rights in this country and the rights of our citizens to have some sort of control. I wanted to talk to you, if I could, about this net zero story that's come out of... Well, I mean, we've been going on and on about bloody net zero, this green ideology that drives me insane. Donald Trump, goosebumps, Donald Trump on day one, about minute one, went, we're leaving the Paris Accord, signed his thing. Today, Ed the Miliband warns Donald Trump that net zero is unstoppable. This, despite the fact that we only create 1% of the carbon dioxide emissions in the world. This, despite the fact it's going to cost billions of pounds. This, despite the fact that if you build your wind farms, which will blow down this weekend because the wind's too strong, it won't create enough electricity and you'll have to import it from other countries at 3 times the bleeding cost. This man is mad, isn't he, Howard?
He's totally delusional, and good luck on taking on the Don. I'd love him to see you sitting around the table and talking about this. And you're quite right, the 1% issue. We're going to spend billions and billions on making us impoverished. And it's going to hit the lower income families, small businesses the hardest, all for the sake of an idealism that won't make a pimple of a difference on the backside of this planet.
And bearing in mind that we're 1% and America, which is one of the largest, has said good night, God bless, I'm going to concentrate. Oh, imagine a leader, Howard, saying, do you know what? We can forget the ideology. What I'm going to do is make the people who voted for you, the people of my country, I'm going to make them proud and patriotic. I'm going to make them better off, safer, prouder of their nation, and I'm just going to get rid of all the madness. Can you imagine if we had somebody with the balls that could do that in this country, pal?
Well, I've actually written an article for The Sun. Hopefully it's coming out in the next few days. I said someone who has got the cojones to do that. I mean, unfortunately, Jeremy, on Friday, there's a second reading of the odious Climate and Nature Private Members Bill, which will enshrine things like net zero and the 2030 ban on diesel and petrol new car sales in law. So, that's the sort of thing I'm fighting like mad. And to some extent, Reform UK, leaving Reform UK, allows me to do that, to fight really hard.
God, you sound like a politician then. I know I've been fired from being chief executive, but I'm looking forward to looking for fossils on the beach somewhere on the coast. What's your thoughts on the Heathrow expansion argument? Because I think this is an interesting one as well. Because you've got Rachel Reeves and the economists, or, well, I call her Richard III because she looks like Richard III. There's her who go on about we've got to have growth to make the economy work, despite the fact they destroy small businesses with their crap budget. But anyway, they've got her on one side of the party. She wants the extra airport at Heathrow. It'll be good for bringing more traffic and business and whatever into Kingdom. And then you've got Miliband, the idiot, on the other side saying, no, we're not building that, not at all. I think there's going to be explosions in that cabinet, aren't there?
Absolutely right. I mean, we're going to see disputes beyond belief. I mean, it's good to see Rachel from Accounts recognise that a third runway at Heathrow is good for the economic
Richard III, I'm calling her, Richard III. Yeah. Are you a fan of the third runway?
Yes, I am. I'm all for economic growth and developing infrastructure. The only infrastructure I was against was HS2. But fundamentally, Heathrow, we do need that third runway. We will then start taking over more of the European economic benefits, and that's what we need to see. And I understand she's actually going to supporting expansion at Gatwick and Luton as well.
Well, let's not give her too much credit. She went to China and came back with £600 million. What a measly deal this. Don't laugh at me, you lot through the glass. Donald Trump, in about 5 minutes, created $5 trillion on AI. I mean, Jesus, she's not that switched on, is she, Rachel?
No, I'm not suggesting that. I don't want to. I want her to go. I want Yvette Cooper to go, and I want certainly Starmer to resign.
Basically, you want the government to fall, don't you?
Yes, please.
I'll tell you what I said this morning, Howie. I want to know what you think of this. I think we're where America was 4 years ago. I think we're in the middle of the start of our Biden experience, which is going to be horrific. But I genuinely believe, whatever your politics, and I hear from as many. Look at this. This country is ruined, says Martin Allen. I've been a Labour voter all my life, and I will join Reform as long as I don't join with the Tories. I'm of the opinion that Reform will be the next ruling party. Great show. I believe that the Labour Party will stay in power and they will be unelectable for 20 years. I don't believe the Tories will recover in time. I haven't heard enough from Badenoch. I don't think she'll last, and I'm being completely serious, and I think that when she falls, it'll be a down-the-middle centrist like James Cleverly, which will not appear. I think Reform have found a position, and I think that they need to get their heads down, deal with all sorts of things within the party. But I think that YouGov poll the other day, if I'm completely honest, Howard, blew the roof off politics in this country. I think the two-party system is dead. I think Reform have achieved that already. I really do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. And, I wish them well. I think, personally, they're going to get well over 100 seats next time, maybe hit the 200 mark. Maybe they will be in part. But the Tories won't roll over easily. And I accept what you're saying. We don't want a soft leader, etc. Maybe Robert Jenrick's the solution. I don't know. But we need a hard person. What I've seen in Donald Trump is he's actually going to let the market dictate, for example, what we drive. There's going to be no EV mandate we've got over here. As you know, manufacturers in this country, they've got to have 80% in 2030 of their manufacturing will have to be EVs.
Couldn't agree more.
It's ludicrous.
The whole thing's ludicrous. Mate, it's so good to know that you're still cracking on. 70 years of age and you don't look bad. We love you. Howard Cox, founder of FairFuel UK. Thank you for being on Talk Drive. What is